A surprising encounter. Not with brilliant scientists or engineers, but with Pope Francis. Opened a new journey in Elon Musk's life. It wasn't about sermons or theories, but a conversation about faith, purpose in life, and the deeper truths of humanity. Could Elon Musk find a guiding light in faith? And could he, in a world where progress seems to be everything, find a balance between technology and humanity, between ambition and self-understanding? Elon Musk's story is not just about technology, but a journey to find peace in a turbulent world. Elon, Pope Francis spoke, his voice warm and full of care. I deeply appreciate your time today. There is an important question I would like you to reflect on. But first, let me ask you, do you believe in a higher power? Elon paused for a moment, his gaze lingering on the calm face of the Pope. This question was not an easy one, and he knew it would open a different path in his life. He had lived many years without often talking about faith, for in his world, technology and reason seemed to fill every gap. But the Pope's eyes brought him a strange feeling, a gentleness, a peace he had never felt before. Yes, Elon replied softly, as though it had been a long time since he had said such a thing. I believe in some kind of power, something greater than us. I see miracles in nature, in the complexity of life, and in the strange order of the universe. But I don't believe in God the way many people imagine. I don't think of him as having a specific form, but rather as an invisible force that guides everything. The Pope did not react hastily, only nodding gently and reflecting, his eyes filled with understanding. So, you believe in an existence beyond all things, but not in a God that intervenes in our daily lives? Elon felt as though a burden had been lifted when he spoke his thoughts aloud. He no longer felt the need to defend a belief, but rather to free himself from the doubts that had weighed on him for so long. I don't know, Elon pondered, but I think there's something that guides our lives. An invisible force. Perhaps not something that intervenes directly in every moment, but still present, helping us find purpose in life. The Pope smiled gently. So, Elon, what made you believe there is such a higher power? Why do you feel the need to hold on to this belief? Elon took a deep breath, his eyes slightly distant, as if searching for an answer in the gaps of his own soul. He wasn't sure, but something deep inside compelled him to share this feeling. I believe, Elon said slowly, because I can't imagine that this universe could exist randomly. The complexity of it, the natural laws we discover, all of that can't just be a coincidence. I don't think God intervenes in every moment, but I believe He created a purpose for this life. The Pope nodded thoughtfully, his gaze profound. You are a very wise man, Elon. But there are things that the mind cannot explain. Faith gives us hope and the courage to face the things we cannot fully understand. Sometimes, we don't find answers immediately, but faith can guide us through the challenges of life. Elon remained silent, the Pope's words echoing in his mind. Perhaps, at this moment, he was facing a question greater than all the successes or technological breakthroughs he had achieved. Could faith truly provide him with the answers he had been searching for all these years? Or was he still missing an essential part of his life? Both sat quietly in the peaceful space, each contemplating the future of humanity and something deeper than technology or personal achievements. Could faith truly change this world? And could Elon Musk, the man who had changed the globe, find a profound change within himself? Elon sat still, his gaze immersed in the space ahead, where thoughts of space and cosmic technology were constantly shifting in his mind. Each thought of technological revolutions, of flights into space, was tied to the vision of the future he was building. But then, the Pope's words came, gentle as a calm wave, making him pause and reflect on things he had never truly questioned. Elon, do you think that belief can guide our future? Pope Francis asked, his voice gentle but meaningful. as if the question had been waiting to be asked for a long time. Elon looked up slightly, his brow furrowing. His words were not about science or technology, but about something intangible, spiritual. Belief, Elon began, his eyes thoughtful. I think it can help people find the motivation to live, to pursue great goals. But I also believe that the future will be shaped by artificial intelligence, by science and technology. These will help humanity reach new heights. The Pope looked at him with a compassionate gaze, as though understanding the inner conflict within Elon. Indeed, technology can take us to new horizons, but it cannot lack one core element, belief. Without faith, we may lose ourselves in the pursuit of progress. Elon felt a wave of unease rising within him. Was he missing something truly important in his life? Could there be an invisible force, not technology, that could guide humanity through challenges that science could not solve? You are right, Elon replied, his voice lowering a little. But I believe faith must also evolve, must adapt to the progress of humanity. We can't just hold on to old beliefs when the world is changing every day. The Pope nodded, a gentle but profound smile on his face, his gaze never leaving Elon. Faith is not something that can change over time, Elon. However, its core remains unchanged. Faith in love, forgiveness, and connection to a power greater than ourselves. These are the eternal elements upon which all progress, whether technological or human, must be built. Elon felt as though he was standing at a crossroads with no way out, where two completely opposite paths met. Could technology really provide all the solutions for humanity? Or, as the Pope said, is there something beyond his understanding? Something he had never truly paid attention to? I understand, Elon said, though his voice still held a trace of uncertainty. I believe in the power of artificial intelligence, in improving human life through science. But I don't think that humanity's progress is simply about abandoning reason to believe in something that cannot be explained. The Pope did not answer immediately, only looked at him with a patient gaze, as if waiting for a breakthrough moment. Elon, faith is not the abandonment of reason. Faith is the ability to recognize that there are things beyond our understanding. It is a connection to something greater, something that science cannot reach. Elon sat still, the Pope's words like a ray of light breaking through the darkness in his mind. The conflict between science and faith, between reason and love, seemed to be boundaries he had to face. Could there be a way to reconcile a future driven by technology with a deep belief in an invisible force he had never truly understood? Elon sat there, his face full of thought. Yet his eyes were lost, as if he was searching for something he could not even recognize. A feeling of unease slowly rose within him, not because of technology or the scientific problems he had once controlled, but because of a different truth, a presence he had never been willing to acknowledge: faith. The Pope looked at Elon, noticing the change in his expression. He did not speak immediately, only gently tilted his head, ensuring that Elon would find the answer from within himself. When he spoke, his voice was full of tenderness but also a profound empathy. Elon, I can sense the confusion within you. Faith is not a stroll. It is a long journey, where one faces oneself with the things that cannot be explained. Elon did not respond right away, only looked out the window as if searching for answers in the faint rays of the setting sun. I've always believed that science could explain everything, Elon whispered, his voice carrying a hint of him trying to convince himself. But recently, I feel like I've lost my way. Is belief in a higher power the answer I need? The Pope looked at Elon with a gentle gaze, not rushing him, allowing him to find his own path. Faith is not the acceptance of everything without evidence, Elon. Sometimes, it is the acceptance that there are things beyond our ability to understand. And sometimes, faith is knowing that we do not always have to have all the answers. Elon remained silent, his eyes squinting as if trying to understand more clearly. But am I losing something important by rejecting belief in some invisible force? I've always felt that everything could be explained through technology. But perhaps I've been wrong. He sighed, fatigue taking over his face. The Pope smiled. The smile gentle yet full of meaning. You are not wrong, Elon. It's just that you are looking at the world through a narrow lens. Faith is not the abandonment of reason, but the opening of your heart to see that every action has meaning, that we are not alone in this universe. Elon began to feel that there was something familiar in the Pope's words, as if he had heard them before, but only now truly understood. So, faith is not about accepting absurdity, but understanding that everything has a purpose, and we are just a small part of this vast whole. Exactly, the Pope replied, his words flowing like a clear stream, making Elon feel lighter. And when we realize that, we live with purpose, with love, and with faith, we know that our actions are not just for ourselves, but for something greater. Elon began to feel a strange peace he had never experienced before. The questions, the anxieties about progress, about the things he had once believed in, seemed no longer important. There was a deep sense within him that, although he was not yet ready to accept all that the Pope said, a change had taken place within him that he could not deny. I think I understand part of it now, Elon said slowly, as if he were trying to grasp a concept that had once been too distant. Faith is not just believing in something invisible. It's understanding that we, our small actions, can create great change, and that we are part of something that we cannot fully comprehend. The Pope's eyes lit up, his smile a form of praise, full of love. Exactly, Elon. And when you realize that, you will feel the deeper purpose in your life. We all have our own mission. Elon sat there in a moment of silence, as if he had just stepped out of a deep darkness to embrace the morning light. A strange peace began to spread through his soul, even though he still had many unanswered questions. But for the first time, he felt that he was not alone on this journey. Perhaps this conversation is the most important turning point in my life, Elon sighed. But this time it was a sigh of relief. I've been too focused on what I can control. But now I realize that life is not just about that. The Pope smiled, and his words echoed like a peaceful hymn. We all start somewhere, Elon, and the real journey has just begun. As Elon walked through the ancient halls of the Vatican, a sense of stillness enveloped him. Each step echoed on the stone floor, as if time had stopped, bringing him a peace he had never known. This feeling was unlike anything he had experienced before. He had always believed in progress, but now he sensed that progress did not only come from technology or bold inventions, but also from understanding his place in this world and in the plan of the Almighty. At this moment, deep down, Elon wondered if this encounter would change his life. Would these new thoughts on faith and progress lead him in a different direction? He could not know immediately. But one thing was clear: this conversation had touched a hidden corner of his soul that he had never truly seen before. Throughout his life, Elon had always pursued grand goals, ideas that could change the world. He had always pushed himself forward, never stopping. But now, he suddenly realized that a life built solely on the peaks may not be a truly fulfilling life. Had he overlooked something important in his journey? The achievements and visions he pursued, were they built on a solid foundation? Or were they just scattered pieces? Although there was no immediate answer, Elon felt a transformation within his soul. There was an indescribable feeling, both vague and profound. The words of the Pope about love and faith still echoed in his mind, like mythical stories he had never truly understood until now. Maybe I've been too persistent in trying to find my own path, forgetting that there are greater things I can trust in, Elon thought to himself. He was not someone who had never felt the presence of a higher power, But he had never fully understood the importance of faith in his life. In the past, he had seen greatness in the universe, felt the perfection in the natural order and in human discoveries. But he had never thought that all those things could be part of a greater plan. A plan he could trust and surrender to. The silence around him made him stop and reflect. Was it time for him to find a balance between personal ambition and faith in something greater than himself? Could he make both of these things harmonize, helping humanity not only move forward but also move closer to a deeper understanding of their place in this world? Elon began to realize that not everything could be solved with reason or technology. There were questions that could not be answered immediately, answers that only came after days of reflection. But one thing he was sure of was that this meeting had changed him in ways that could not be measured. The Pope had opened his eyes to a new horizon, where faith and progress were not separate things, but could walk hand in hand, creating a better world together. One evening, as the sun set, Elon sat silently, looking out the window, contemplating the things he had learned. He wondered whether he could apply these new thoughts to his work, whether he could combine creative vision and faith to create a world not only determined by technology, but also by human values. Things he had never paid attention to before. The silence around him was like a reminder. A profound answer that he could not hear with his ears but could feel in every breath of his own. Would all the answers come in one night? Or would it be a long journey? Either way, one thing he was sure of, his life would never be the same again. A few days after the deep conversation with the Pope, Elon noticed a gentle but distinct shift in the way he thought and spoke. In the past, he had always been the one to initiate lively conversations, sharing plans about technology, inventions that could change the future, and grand schemes he had been nurturing. But now, as he sat with close colleagues, he found himself pausing and thinking more carefully before speaking. His words were no longer rushed but had become slow, profound, and full of contemplation. What can we do to help people find a greater purpose than just existing? Elon shared, his eyes looking far away, as if listening to a call from another dimension. Technology can change the world. But can it change the way each individual sees themselves and the world around them? His colleagues, who were always accustomed to an Elon full of passion and enthusiasm, were stunned by this change. At first, they thought he was simply going through a brief romance with life's reflections. But as he continued speaking, they began to realize that this was not just a passing phase, but a true turning point in his thinking. His voice was no longer sharp and incisive as before. Instead, there was warmth, an authenticity that could not be hidden. Perhaps Elon was no longer just seeking success, he was searching for something beyond it. Can we build something that not only changes the material world but also deepens the spiritual lives of humans? Elon asked. And the question seemed to shatter the air in the meeting room, as if he were inviting those around him to search for a greater vision. The atmosphere in the room became heavy. Elon's colleagues looked at each other, no longer seeing the familiar glances of discussions about profits and innovation. For the first time, they saw an Elon deep in thought, not the one driving everything forward with the power of technology, but a man searching for a new path. A path where technology and humanity could walk side by side. Maybe technology won't change everything, but if we can create products that help people feel the purpose of their lives, connect with each other, and understand that progress is not just material, but about how we live and love each other, then aren't we doing something greater? Elon said, his voice tinged with sadness, as if this was a question he had spent his whole life searching for an answer to. His colleagues looked at him, and for the first time, they clearly felt that he was no longer someone who lived only for work, no longer someone willing to sacrifice everything in pursuit of success. Elon was searching for something deeper, something that could not be measured by profits or figures. Perhaps it was a connection with his own humanity. Or perhaps it was a change in the way he wanted the world to view his technology. Maybe we need to build a world where technology not only makes life easier but also makes us better human beings. Elon continued, the seriousness in each word of his embedding itself in the minds of those who listened. Elon's words were no longer just the words of a great inventor. They contained something deeper, an understanding of what truly mattered in life. Elon didn't just want to change the world, he wanted to change the way people viewed the world and themselves. He wanted to create a connection between technology and compassion, between progress and eternal values. When the meeting ended, his colleagues could not forget the questions Elon had raised. They realized that this conversation had not only changed their perception of technology, but also the essence of life. Elon was not only a creator but also someone searching for true values, greater things to bring meaning to this world. With each passing day, Elon felt the change inside him. New thoughts, questions never before asked, were slowly forming in his mind. He knew that the path ahead would not only be a journey of technology, but also a journey of seeking meaning and true connection. Elon felt a strange sensation rising within him as new ideas about life and work began to dominate his mind. Although he had decided to open his heart to this vision, doubts still clung to him. Could he truly have the ability to create such a great change? Could he pursue ambition without losing his humble faith in humanity and life? And could this world be big enough to accept a change from someone like him, someone who was known to the world for bold ideas and futuristic technologies? Am I being blind? Elon questioned himself, his gaze intently fixed on the window, where night had fallen. Is all of this just a fleeting inspiration? But then, the memory of his conversation with the Pope vividly resurfaced, his words shining like a light into Elon's soul. A deep, undeniable feeling suddenly igniting. Although doubts still haunted him, the new flame in his heart had never extinguished. And over time, this change gradually blended into Elon's daily life. His companies no longer focused solely on profit. Instead, his new projects began to center around bigger goals, protecting the planet, helping the underprivileged, creating spaces for people to find meaning in their work and their lives. Elon emphasized to his partners that success was not just a number, but about how they could change the world around them. We don't do this just to make money, he stated in an important meeting, his voice calm but firm. We do it to create legacies that can change the lives of those around us, and maybe even change the world. However, deep within, an inexplicable feeling kept stirring, unable to let him rest. A burning desire surged within him, urging him to constantly search for what could bring about true change. He sensed that these projects were not just work, they were part of a greater journey. An opportunity to prove that technology could have an impact not only in material terms, but also in spirit, society, and culture. This feeling was an unstoppable drive. Do I have the courage to change everything? Elon wondered. In the quiet moments of the late night, the world might not easily change, and those who did not believe in him would continue to doubt. However, part of him no longer cared about recognition. He no longer felt the need to prove anything to the world. Instead, he began to view this journey as an opportunity to change himself, to live with a deeper purpose, without always needing to have answers for everything. He no longer longed to be the one at the top. Instead, he wanted to be part of something greater, a positive force in a challenging world. That became his goal. Instead of seeking recognition, I will seek peace in the work I do, Elon realized. Because if I cannot find peace in the work I do, I will never be able to create real change. The slow but meaningful steps he took helped him realize that he was no longer working to prove himself, but doing so for a deeper mission. Every day, every decision, even without an immediate clear answer, was a step in the right direction. Elon felt that he was getting closer to a grand purpose, not because of the expectations of others, but because of the strong belief within his own heart. No one could yet claim that these changes would have a lasting impact. But for the first time in his life, Elon felt a peace he had never known before. It was not the feeling of a successful person in the tech world, but the feeling of someone who had found purpose in creating real change, a change that came from the heart of humanity. And this, he understood, was the true legacy he wanted to leave behind. Not the companies, not the groundbreaking technologies, but the hearts that had been changed by the inspiration he brought. Elon stood before the office window, looking out at the skyscrapers and bustling streets, feeling the stillness in his soul that he had never known before. It was as if a heavy weight had been lifted, and within him, everything had become clearer than ever. He was no longer just someone creating technology or groundbreaking inventions. He had become part of something greater, a change that could transcend all limits, a change he hoped to bring to the world. There would certainly be challenges, struggles, and not everyone would understand or agree with the path he had chosen. But he knew that the values he was pursuing, the goals he was building, would create a wave of lasting change, not just in technology but also in the way people relate to each other and to this world. What matters is not what we can do, but who we do it for and what we do it for, Elon thought to himself. For the community. For this planet. For future generations. He had seen things greater than himself. Not just in the tech products but in every decision. In every person he had met along this journey. He was no longer just an inventor or an entrepreneur. He had become an inspiration. A person who sparked within each heart the belief in a brighter future. A better world. Where human values and connection were cherished. Elon Musk's journey had proven that change does not come from trying to change the world with the power of technology or authority, but from changing oneself, from setting an example in the way of life and trusting in true values. Technology can change the world, but real change must begin with people. That was the message he wanted to convey, a message about humility, perseverance, and love for humanity. Anyone can make a difference, big or small, as long as they act with an open heart and noble purpose. It is the combination of self-belief and the desire to serve society that holds the key to changing the world. And looking back at what he had achieved, Elon realized that the change he sought was not the final outcome, but the journey itself. The journey of building a world where technology serves not only wealth but also the prosperity of all people, a world where everyone can find their purpose, and where the connection between people is placed above all else. In the end, Elon understood that what he would leave behind was not companies or products, but the marks left in the hearts of those who walked this journey with him. His legacy was not technology, but the belief in the power of compassion and change from within. And that was the message he wanted to send to the world, to change the world. We must change ourselves. Only when we understand that each action, each decision we make can create a significant difference, can we truly create a better future for all. If you feel that this story has touched your heart, and you want to continue following inspiring and meaningful journeys like this, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you won't miss any stories in the future. Let's explore more stories of change, faith, and the valuable lessons life has to offer. This is just a fictional story, created for entertainment purposes and to convey positive messages about change, faith, and perseverance in life. All events and characters in the story are imaginary and are not intended to reference any real individuals or events. Thank you for reading, and we hope you can feel the positive values that the story brings.